Welcome to Embroidery Medic, the clinic for unhealthy embroidery designs. This is where digitizers and embroiderers send in their problem files and I put them under the microscope to diagnose what went wrong and show exactly how to fix it. With over 42 years in the industry and being trained by Shifley masters, I've gained the experience and technical foundation to revive even the most troubled designs. Our free 101 series walks you step by step through the core principles every embroiderer and digitizer should know. It's completely free and it's the best place to build real confidence. Well, in this week's Embroidery Medic video, we have the deck stacked against us. And what I mean by that is we have an expanded data file. I'm not going to be using a native file format to my software, which is normally JDX. I'm going to use a DST file, which is expanded data. I'm also going to be doing something for a finished hat. So we're going to be working with a design specifically for a finished hat. And just to make it a little more interesting, we're going to be addressing an issue the person had with a unstructured finished hat. The design in question is the one that we see here on the screen, and as you can see, there is a significant amount of moving here within the areas of the design, and this was the issue. The person asked if I could take a peek at it because we have a gold, satin stitch that I'm assuming is supposed to line right up to the satin stitch that is in the dark green. And then we have some little registration issues happening here and there and things are popping out. Definitely this is not the way you want a hat to sew out. Odds are our customer's not going to be happy with the results. But for this one here, I'm going to bring in the DST. I'm going to also tell my software to convert it to outlines, which means that the software is going to look at all that expanded data, and when I bring this in, it's going to convert it to a bunch of different objects. And if I turn my 3D on so I can see it on screen, there is the design in question. If I bring in my actual sequence view, I can see that I have all of my colors there in the order, but the sequence, when it converted it, it's brought it in as a whole bunch of little independent shapes. These would be the shapes that the software has redesigned, and it's sort of defining between fills and stitch paths to get somewhere. And if I were to do this in my software, there would be a lot less objects. But I am wanting to make some adjustments here because when I look at this design when it comes in, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a redraw. So I'm going to go to my redraw. I'm going to bring that in and hit the play, and I'm going to see how it actually creates the design. Rather than run a sample and watch it sew, which would take, a significant amount of time. This is like a 13,000 stitch design, so it would take a while to sew. If I can see how it's sewing on the screen, simulated, then I can see, as far as my experience, what pathing and what things might have been, I guess, had gone wrong in the first place, and I don't have to run a sample to find that out. So just looking at this, I can see right away that it's doing what is considered the light green, the trees that are in the background. And the big problem with this is the top of the design. I have some basic rules when it comes to digitizing for hats, and that is bottom up. I want to make sure that all of my designs, if at all possible, will start at the bottom where the peak meets the crown. And I want to push my designs up away from the peak, not towards the peak. And I also want to have my designs go from the inside out with regards to lettering and text, and that way I'm kind of not rolling the fabric in one direction because it is a curved surface, but I'm pushing it out from the center on each side and kind of smoothing it from the center outwards. So I can see here that the main issue is we have these two fills of the trees going down at the very beginning. And then it's doing this large fill, which the fill is, I do really like the fact that there is a global underlay there. So the global underlay is kind of holding all of that area in. And the meaning that it's not just a regular tatami and going the opposite direction, but they are trying to create more, I guess, of a stable area for these fill stitches to go on. So I see nothing wrong with that. And I also see that it's, starting from one side to the other, going to the other. I'm not going to get really critical about that, but I don't like the order in which that happened. I don't like that it did the top part of the trees, then it's doing this piece, and then it's coming and doing all of these letters, and they are going from the inside out. So this is digitized properly. It's starting at the bottom, moving to the top. So this is, in theory, the way it should be. But I don't know if I would do the lettering right now and then come and outline this thick outline that you see here, because this is the outline that from the photo looks like it moved the most. It's the most dramatic area in the design. So I've laid down that fill, then I've put down a whole bunch of other stitches in the center going from the bottom to the top and going from the inside out, and I'm moving that whole thing around, and then I'm deciding to put that defining stitch. So if I look at this, I would probably want to do this border and the border that it's doing now, which is outlining everything, as quickly as possible so that the registration would be correct. And then I'll do the detailed work on the inside, because odds are once all that is in place and it's being held down, there's global underlay, the borders are perfectly lined up, then I should be able to go in and complete the lettering and small details that I see there, and there shouldn't be any further movement. Now, here is what I did. I actually converted this to colors, as I mentioned, so I could see them. And I did that because I did want to run a hat. I wanted to compare the results of what I see here on screen, which is a significant amount of distortion and things not lining up in the design, to what I would get on the machine. And I was a little surprised because when I ran this on my Tajima Sai, I actually had very good results. I mean, things did line up pretty much, perfectly. I did not like how it went through the sewing order, meaning that it was doing the top areas first and then going into the fill. But for the most part, everything lined up. A little bit of registration problem there at the side, and I can tell there's been some movement. The trees kind of shifted over a little bit, but nowhere close to the results that they got. So that says to me a couple things. Number one, I don't know which machine they were running it on, because all machines are not created equal, especially when it comes to sewing hats. I don't know what type of machine it was, what drivers it was as far as the actual attachment is concerned. I know Tajima makes, great machines and cap drivers, and even though this is the Tajima Sai, which is kind of on the prosumer level, it's the crossover market. So I was a little surprised at how well it did. The other thing is hooping. All I can say is I've probably hooped, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of caps in my career. I was actually running 18 head machines, and I remember hooping like, hundreds and hundreds of hats every single day. And there is a little bit of an art to getting that hat actually secured really firmly within this tubular frame, making sure that this line that goes right across here is perfectly inset to where the peak meets the crown, how to get it nice and tight even when it's a non-structured hat like this, how to get it nice and tight when it actually is in the hoop, and how to get your stabilizer in there properly so that, especially with an unstructured hat, it's doing its job. So I'm not sure about those other factors as far as the machine or how it was hooped is concerned, but with regards to how it sewed out for me, it definitely was much better than this. So I'm still going to edit this design, and I'm going to run another sample and hopefully get even better results, but I will send this off to the person who submitted it, and hopefully they will get much better results on their machine as well. As I'm going to look at all of these objects, and I'm going to kind of resequence them in a more logical order. And because they are broken apart now, I can see that when I go all the way down to the bottom, I can see that in this one here, there is a couple of pieces right from here, and let's just turn off the 3D as well so that we can see where things are. There is a piece there, and then I get to this global underlay, and then I get to this object here, which is the fill, and then this object here, which is probably the tie-out stitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a completely different color. So I'm going to add a color right here, which I'll just, again, choose any color, really doesn't matter. Let's choose color number 11. And now that has changed to a different color. Now the reason why I did that is because I want to basically do this first. So I'm going to grab that entire color and I'm going to move it up to the very first object in the sewing order. So when I look at this now, I can see that I have this color done first. So there's that color. Then it does this color next. So it's going to do this color, and then it's going to come in and do this color right here, which is the red, which in reality is going to be the same color as that fill. So there is one extra color change in this design, but it's ensuring that I'm going to sew down that big piece first, and then I'm going to do that work up over here next. So, and I am going to leave it in that order because it's kind of going from the bottom now to the top, and I'm putting down all of my base fill areas. And then when I get to this area here, which is the lettering, this is where I'm also going to say, I don't want to do the lettering next. Right away, I want to come in here and I'm going to do this piece right here, and I'm going to move it up in the sewing order right after the red. So it's going to do that red area next, and then the green that's going around the outside, that one I'm going to select and I'm going to move it right after that object, and then I'll continue to go and do all of the lettering. So that is a very quick edit as far as resequencing my colors, adding one color change. Now if I look at how this is going to run now, I'm just going to hit the play button, and now it's going to do this global underlay first, then it's doing that fill, it's doing the fill, and then it's coming and doing this part here, which is the light green trees. Then it's doing the dark green, which is going to be the same color as that purple fill that you see. And then as soon as it finishes that, then it's doing that outside border, which is going to be the gold, and then it's finishing off the border to have everything done within the design. So everything at this point is finished as far as the layout of the design, and then it comes in and it does all of these little colors next, and does it from the inside out, bottom up. So it does the park and the state, and then it does from this side to the reek to the, oil sea, and this should run much better compared to the other. Now, as I mentioned, I did get pretty good results with this one, but I'm going to run the next one and we'll see if the results are hopefully as good, if not better. Well, I ran the second design on the machine, compared the two, and just to look back at the first one, the main issue was the tree line at the top, where I could see that it kind of shifted from one side to the other. A couple of the trees kind of shifted, one almost disappeared on the one side, and it looks like it shifted over as it ran. And then the registration between the gold and the green satin stitches looked like it was off ever so slightly. Now keep in mind, if I hadn't seen the original on the computer screen, I probably wouldn't even really know they were off, but we're looking for perfection. So after adjusting the sequence of the objects, keeping in mind I did not edit any of the objects that were digitized. They were all done really well, but by adjusting the sequence so that we kind of embroidered the larger areas first and did that bottom up type of transition, which is what I'm looking for a curved surface on a hat, it actually turned out pretty much perfectly. The tree line looks great from one side to the other, no movement at all. The registration is good, and it's a very attractive design. I actually really like this one. So I hope you enjoyed this, and be sure to join us when we diagnose the next patient. Remember, embroidery problems don't happen by accident. There's always a cause, and once you understand the cause, you can control the outcome. Now, if you enjoyed this Embroidery Medic video, please let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe. Until next time, keep your designs healthy and your stitches precise.